Fit for Europe, the Fit for Them podcast. Good morning and welcome to the first episode of our new podcast series of the Fit for Them project funded by the European Union in its Horizon 2020 programme. The project we will be talking about kicked off 6 months ago. My name is Julia Doré and I'm Head of Unit of Research Services at Johannes Gutenberg University Mainz. And with me today is Professor Stefan Müller-Stach, Vice President for Research and Early Career Academics of the University of Mainz and coordinator of this new project, which is a project of the European Universities Network FORTHEM. FORTHEM stands for Fostering Outreach within European Regions, Transnational Higher Education and Mobility. The European University Networks were established in response to a speech by the French President Emmanuel Macron in September 2017, in which he called for a renewed, sovereign, united and democratic Europe. To help achieve this goal, the plan was to reinforce the European education and research area. The FORTHEM Alliance is one of a total of 41 university networks now funded after a highly competitive evaluation process by the European Commission. In the FORTHEM Alliance, the University of Mainz is the coordinating university, and the further partners are the University of Burgundy in France, the University of Jyväskylä in Finland, the University of Opole in Poland, the University of Palermo in Italy, the University of Latvia in Riga, and the University of Valencia in Spain. Funded in the Erasmus Plus program, FORTHEM so far strongly focuses on student affairs and questions of mobility and digital transformation at the participating universities. Within the new project Fit for Them, fostering institutional transformation of research and innovation policies in European universities, now funded in Horizon 2020, the Alliance is working on joint strategies and concepts in research and innovation. So now, after this short introduction, it is my pleasure to welcome our guest, Stefan Milashtach. A few words on his professional background. Stefan is Professor for Number Theory at the Institute of Mathematics in Mainz. Since 2017, he's a member of the JGU, which is the abbreviation for Johannes Gutenberg University Mainz, of the Executive University Board. In this position, he co-directs the further development of the European University Alliance FORTHEM and its new project Fit for Them. Welcome, Stefan.
Thank you. Thank you, Julia, and good morning to you as well. Yeah, as you said in the introductory statement, FORTHEM was established in 2019 following the first pilot call for European universities. So we were among the first 17 European university networks. And I think our stronghold and somehow in Mainz is in this network FORTHEM is that we have strong existing corporations which exist for a very long time. For example, in my university, Mainz has strong connections to Dijon for many years, many decades in fact, and also to Valencia, for example. And the other universities as well have mutual connections. I think also another stronghold is that we have a very broad geographic scope. So we have, if you start from the north, Scandinavian countries, the Baltic area is included. And then if we go south through Europe, then we reach finally the Iberian Peninsula and also Palermo in the very south. So we somehow from north to south, we cover all aspects of Europe in some sense in one network. This is, I think, a great part of our network. Also, I think our partners represent in total very diverse educational systems and countries, and we face it on an everyday basis when we work together. There are, of course, very many challenges of political sort, economical sort, and educational sort. Some of the interesting part of the network is also to put this together and come to a somehow common platform where we put this together and work very strongly together, nevertheless. And of course, the most important thing probably is the acronym FORTHEM stands, of course, for the people. It's the whole network is for the people, for them. And it's for the students, for the academics, and all members of our universities. And of course, it's also about opportunities for career and, in my case, also for strategic developments of the universities. In our proposal that we submitted to the European Union, we formulated 3 missions, in fact. The mobility mission, this is about moving around in Europe, mobility in general for students and academics. And then the labs mission, we will come to this later during our discussion. And the outreach mission, this is the 3rd mission. So all 3 are somehow the main foci of the project where we are behind.
Okay. And now what about your new project, Fit for Them? What are the key ambitions behind this new project?
As you already mentioned in the introduction, for them so far was mainly focused on student issues and questions of mobility, digital transformation in education. So it's about study programs and teaching mainly. And it was funded by, or it is funded by Erasmus+. And we already had the labs already in the missions, one of the missions. The labs are innovative think tanks that we have established in 7 highly topic fields to really prepare for joint research projects. But somehow there was not enough room for developing the labs completely inside the For Them project. So Fit for Them now allows us to prepare the ground for such activities. We, for example, work towards joint research agendas, and this is very important for new approaches. For example, one topic I like very much is open science. So this is a development which goes beyond, in fact, open access policies and open access ideas. So this goes very much into the heart of our universities and the future research. And but there are many other aspects all about the Fit for Them, all about research and innovation topics in general. So open science is just one part of it. One other part, for example, is human resources, also very important aspect of our universities, to develop careers on all levels in the university further and support people as much as possible. Other areas are what is sometimes called 3rd mission aspects of universities, so knowledge transfer, science communication, transfer in general, not only technology transfer, but transfer in all dimensions. This is very interesting. This is also part of a very important part of Fit for Them. And beyond that, of course, Fit for Them is also about collaborating with the other universities, the other 6 universities, our partners, and with the other alliances. So there's new somehow development is that we work together strongly, more strongly than before, with other partner networks. So, for example, there's this Unite network, which is very close to our university in some respect. And so we also try to exchange our ideas and our plans, and also our governance structures. We try to compare with each other, with the other networks, European networks in Europe. So there's I think the networking idea is also very important in Fit for Them, like as it is in For Them. And but here in Fit for Them, somehow we focus more on the research and innovation aspects and the aspects which are related to that.
Wow, so Fit for Them sounds like a very ambitious project with all the things that you mentioned. And in this way, Fit for Them also promotes the general objectives of the For Them Alliance. Maybe you can say a bit about that.
Yes, it does, definitely. I mean, it's very exciting that it does, actually. As I said before, the main purpose of Fit for Them is to contribute to the research and innovation dimension, in particular of the For Them Alliance, in line with the 3 core missions which were mentioned before. In particular, of course, it is related to the labs and outreach mission very much. I think one further point is really interesting for us. This is to benefit from synergies between the European funding programs for education, research and innovation, and to make the Alliance a key player in the European higher education landscape. I think there are many chances and opportunities there, and that's the way we are going right now, to get together very closely in the network and look for opportunities in these funding schemes to find our position somehow in the European landscape and to be a major player. I think this is our main goal, is to strengthen For Them And vice versa, for them, of course, also strengthens FIT for them. But together, we want to be a main player in the European landscape. This is all about, of course, visibility, international visibility, also internationalization of our universities and competitiveness of the alliance as a whole in Europe, in the world, but also in the national landscape. Of course, we get stronger as a university if we are part of such network. I think there are many opportunities, and for the university as one part of the executive board of the university, for me it's very exciting that we can develop our university further in a strategic way and strengthen our university in these contexts I mentioned. I think this is highly exciting, and as you say, I'm very fascinated about this point.
So the University of Mainz has already often been the leader of international research projects or international projects in general. And you yourself have also coordinated some in the past. What specifically makes this project different from other projects you've been involved in?
There's indeed a huge difference, because I think the main difference is just boldly that this project just affects all dimensions of a university. So it affects the teaching aspect, of course, mainly in FORTHEM, but it also whole aspects of research, innovation, and also third mission aspects are completely in this project. So they have to be put together, and you cannot treat them in a single sense somehow. So you have to put them together and look at the connections between all them. So I think this is much different, because usually other projects are focused to research or teaching only in some sense and are more focused. And here it's really it's like a new university, but a much bigger university, of course. But it's really a new university, and I think this makes it different, makes it also complicated, because it affects a lot the university itself, and it also uses a lot of resources. But I think this is the exciting part, is somehow to transform the world and our universities in a way that it fits very well to this. The word "fit" is somehow then also used in this sense, to fit to the environment of our university and transcend them in some sense, to add something to our universities. And slowly over the years, we transform our universities to fit perfectly into this world of networks. This is, I think, the challenge, but this is also the exciting thing. And this is, of course, completely different from the other projects you mentioned that we usually have.
Okay, thank you. Wow. So maybe we can very briefly talk about the role of you as coordinator. I imagine that as Vice President of Research and Early Career Academics, you have a very wide-ranging portfolio of responsibilities and also have a very demanding schedule every day. Can you tell us about your personal motivation to be the head and also the face of this international project?
Thank you, Julia. That's a very good question. I think I liked my job very much, and I have a very busy job, that's true, but I'm also, this is probably the main motivation for my work at FIT FORTHEM, is that I'm really an aficionado of, in terms of Europe and networking in general, networking of universities and research groups, for example. I grew up myself in a Europe where there were still borders and different currencies in all different partner states. And this was also some kind of interesting spectrum, but now I enjoy very much that we can move easily between our different countries and visit each other without a big deal of changing currencies, for example, and other things. I think this is not only part of Europe, of course, the currencies, but to grow together and have a room of exchange and working together. This is a very important aspect of Europe, and this is all represented in these networks. I think this is my strongest motivation for it. And the other thing that I really want to mention is probably the support of young people. This is also at the heart of FORTHEM and FIT FORTHEM. Support students in their teaching, the way they receive teaching from us, the quality of the teaching they receive from us, the exchange of teaching ideas between the different partners. We have the exchange of knowledge, and also other young researchers in different career stages. We want to support very much, in particular with FIT FORTHEM in the labs, for example, and in other things we want to do together later in research programs that the funding I just mentioned that we want to open in the future. This will, of course, be very good for the young researchers, early career researchers, and there are many opportunities to support young people, because I think universities and also these networks are about young people. the future is for the young people, of course, and we have to support them. This is our duty in our universities and our networks to support early career researchers and the students to have a better life in the future and to have a better Europe, even better Europe than we have now, and to be closer together. That's the goal.
So this sounds like a really exciting task. How do you personally, though, see your role in the project? What do you do yourself, and where do you rely on your team here in Mainz and also at the other partner universities?
I think, to be honest, I really rely on my team in all aspects of the project, and also in my other daily work I have in the executive board of the university. I also rely on teams. In my role, you simply cannot function without a team, a good team that supports you. And the team is really great in FIT FORTHEM and also for them. We have a great support and very also support of high quality, and people really also are devoted to the projects and really take a lot of time in preparing carefully all the things we do. And that's really important for me, so that I can satisfy the role I really have. And the role is, of course, on the governance part, and also somehow part of motivating the team and thinking about also new ideas to come, because now we have filed this proposal, and we try to make the work packages successful, and we are on the way somehow to reach the goals. But of course we already have to think about the future and go beyond what is after, what comes after, what is the continuation, what will be changed, do we have new ideas that we have to add, want to add, and together with our partners, because we get also a lot of ideas, of course, from the outside, from our external advisory board and from other stakeholders, and we have to put this together and think about it. And also, of course, there's daily work of doing the communication and checking things and talking to partner universities and somehow do the matching work. And so there's a lot of things to do, where my role is. It's really important, I think. But not without a team. I think it's a team effort, the whole thing, and I'm really proud to be part of this team. And in the way it works right now, I see that it will be successful, and therefore I'm very happy. That makes it fun to work in this team. And in the end, it's always people in my role are responsible for the project. So of course, we are very happy if it's running well and smoothly.
So perhaps I can just pick up on that aspect. You mentioned how important it is to get all people at the university involved. And I think our listeners understand that this is a really ambitious project with very wide-reaching goals. And so it must rely on cooperation and exchange between all partners of the Alliance, and without the members of all institutions, without involving researchers, administrative staff, and all other persons who contribute to a university, I imagine the project couldn't be implemented at all. How do you motivate members of the University of Mainz to participate in the FIT FORTHEM project? How do you get them to invest time and effort in all these activities you mentioned?
Yeah, this is indeed a very important issue they mentioned, and it's important to also to think about it, how to do it in a good way. I don't know whether we do it right. I mean, you can comment on this yourself, Julia. I don't know. I mean, we try our best. It's not always optimal, I guess. In my opinion, there are 2 points which are important. One is about communication. I mean, the aspects of communication, because we are talking about not only 7 partner universities, but we also talk about all levels in the university. I wouldn't say hierarchies, but it's a different, it's all levels in sense, also all dimensions of the university and all hierarchy levels, but also just so many people. I mean, we're talking about more than 30,000 students, for example, in Mainz, so we talk more about 40,000 people in Mainz who should be involved, and other universities as well have big numbers of people. So we talk about really many people, so it's really about communication. And this can only work if we do communication well, and also if we define our goals well. I think this is something we discussed. For example, yesterday there was a meeting of the General Assembly, and at the end of the meeting we talked very much about how to do the communication well, and it was mentioned that, and I agree completely with that it's not only important to have different channels where you communicate, but also you have to you just have to well define also and give an identity to all the missions you have and all the ideas you want to follow. You have to define them well, because if you define them well and maybe put this down somewhere, then people will know it, and then people will automatically put this into the set of values in their minds and then do it. And you don't have to communicate so much if you have well-defined goals. So I think this is somehow the balance you have to get between communication and well-definedness of your project, and then you can proceed very much, because then people just independently will follow these goals and do the communication as well on their level, perfectly somehow in tune with our ideas. So I think that this is the best way to do it. And that's what we try. I think we are not yet there to we have a completely perfect world, but this is maybe impossible anyway. But we try to be as good as possible. And here, as I said before, I have a very good team here, and we are supported very well. Everybody here supports the project very well, and we have to just keep the motivation up. And this is a duty that I have. But we also all work together, I think, in this respect to somehow be like a family, this kind of for them or FIT for them family, and take the spirit then to the rest of the university. Because if we work together very closely and in a good and friendly way, like a family, and then this is visible outside, I think this will also transport the idea to the whole university and to the network very much. And this is, I think, the goal. And this, of course, requires a lot of work, but this is very much worth to do it.
So we said at the beginning that the project has been running now for 6 months. What can you tell us about any success stories so far?
In the first 6 months, the working teams have already achieved remarkable results. In fact, this was also yesterday in the General Assembly, where we got reports of all these results. It was very remarkable, and for example, the members of the External Advisory Board were very impressed by that. Many of these initial results have already been submitted to the European Commission. In the field of communication and dissemination, for example, the project has developed a networking and membership agenda, a strengths and weaknesses SWOT analysis in our main areas of activity has been submitted, and a number of first joint workshops and matchmaking events. So of course, these events are very important for our working together in a network and mobility as well. And this has been developed with external partners, and some of the workshops and events have already taken place. And of course, in the future, more to come and are already planned. In addition, we have been able to establish a top-level advisory board, external advisory board, with experts from all participating countries, with a different or highly diverse set of expertises, and they support us very much. And in a sense, I would like to call it always as critical friends. So they're at the same time friends of our network. So they support us very much. We know of some of them very well and have had experiences with them before. But they know also the situation, all the aspects that are covered by the FORTHEM network very well. And they're also critical in some sense, that they point out some things which do not go in the right direction, and they point us to different opportunities or different ways to go ahead. And I think this is very important, because if you are inside the network and you sometimes only have the inside view, and we need an outside view, and these critical friends of the advisory board, they give us somehow this outside view, and this is always very important. I think also in other research projects or teaching projects, you need this outside view. I think this is the real sense of an advisory board. And finally, our governance structures are in place, and they have started to work. Additional staff has been recruited everywhere. The work packages are ongoing, as we could see yesterday in the meeting, in the reports. And in the schedule, we are perfectly in the schedule, and we have also, despite Corona, in fact, the pandemic has struck, of course, everybody, but it created only minor delays in the whole project. I am very happy about this because, of course, this would be a major drawback if the pandemic would have destroyed some work packages, for example. But this has not happened, fortunately.
So from what you've said so far, it sounds like the University of Mainz and its 6 partners are now on a very long-term path to institutional change and cooperation. So the project itself only has a running time of 3 years, so it will end in late 2023. And by that time, I can imagine only a few of the processes you've been talking about have only started or will have only just begun. So how do you plan to continue after the end of the European project funding?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think we are only at the beginning of the whole idea of, or at the beginning of the realization of the idea of European University. So in my opinion, this will take, of course, a few more years to develop this further. I think therefore it's also important that the EU funding should definitely be continued for the next years, because I think it somehow extends the demands that European universities have right now, just extends the resources that we have in our universities. So we definitely, for a few years to come, we need definitely the support of European Commission, Erasmus Plus, etc., to continue our work, because this will be a strong support then for the project. Of course, on the other hand, my duty or our duty as members of the executive boards of universities is also to include as many as possible of the parts of the or ideas of the networks into our universities and make them somehow permanent. This is, of course, also a duty that universities have. So we cannot always live from the third-party funding in some way for decades. So we have to transform our universities as well and use the ideas that the strategic ideas we develop in the alliances to also change our universities. So this is some duty we have on our own. But I think it has this combination, and the other funding schemes I mentioned before, they will also help, because they will give somehow people also more ideas how to work together, and more also somehow more chances to appreciate what is behind that, because funding schemes of course always attract people and motivate them to participate. So it's also very important to keep up this funding scheme in some sense, so that the whole idea stays attractive for, let's say, another decade or maybe 2, so that finally, I think, because the transformation process, they may take 1 or 2 decades in total to completely transform it. Whatever the final outcome will be, I cannot predict what finally the idea of the European University will converge to. But in any way, we are hopefully, of course, converging to something which is very good and transcends what we have right now. But in any case, we need support over many years for that, I think, in the future. That's important.
So you're talking about the future of the European universities, and do you already have an idea from your perspective how this funding scheme and how these projects and these alliances will change the European higher educational landscape, and what will that mean for the next generation of researchers?
Yeah, that's also a very good question. So this is something I believe I can answer, because I don't know exactly how it will precisely look in 1 or 2 decades, but I think it's pretty clear that the concept of a single university will still be there. I mean, there will be networks, international networks, and maybe also national networks and European networks on all levels. There will be a lot of networks, but there will still be a single university, because I think to treat our students and young researchers very well, you need this personal connections, and you need some environment which is quite small. It's like a family, a room of a family. This has to be small, where you can treat the people very well and you have a very close connection. But of course, on the other hand, I think this is the other dimension. The education landscape you mentioned this will be a landscape of many-fold networks. I think this is my belief, at least, that we should use many networks on different levels, and not only the national networks, of course, but also European networks and international networks. So these funding schemes, for example, of the European Commission, Erasmus, and they will lead to a lot of more networking. And this is very important because if you do research, if you do teaching, you should be inside a network which is not only national or related to universities. You should think worldwide in some sense. And this also, of course, very important for the internationalization of our university. It become even more international. People move more in a physical sense, but also in a mental sense, that they're more mobile, have more ideas. This is very important. So that's to answer in a short way. This is a combination of a single university with these networks. This is my idea for the future, in an optimal way, and so in a balanced way, in some sense.
Well, thanks, Stefan, for these interesting insights into the activities of FORTHEM and FIT FORTHEM. And now, above all, I wish you all the best for the further work on these exciting and challenging projects, and all the best for the future.
Yeah, thank you very much for the questions and for the discussion.